Hi, everybody. It's Dr. Vonda Wright, and we are back with Women's Health Conversations speaker series. And we have a really special guest with us today on our speaker series. And sometimes I talk to doctors I know from across the country. And today I'm talking to Dr. Sheila Nazarian, who I have never met. However, I feel like I know her because she has so many wonderful things to say on her multiple Instagram and YouTube platforms. And so, Dr. Nazarian, Sheila, I feel like I know you, even though today is the first time I've actually gotten to speak to you verbally. So for those of you joining us and who are seeing rebroadcasts of this, I want you to check out her work, because if I were to describe you, I would say not only are you a board certified plastic surgeon, you are an entrepreneur, you are a influencer, but in a lot of ways, Sheila, you're a philosopher. I think you're a deep thinker based on what you write. You know, you have it's not only what you present on the surface, then you go deeper, and I'm like, holy cow, she is right about that. So we're going to dive in today with some of those things. And if you want to find Dr. Nazarian, we are going to send these out to you, but just search at Dr. Sheila Nazarian. You can find her at the Skin Spot. She has a Spa 26, and then of course your medical practice. So we're going to go straight ahead. I was reading.
I was going to say, before you do that, actually, remember that I'm going to go dark, but folks who are online, you can ask your questions and we will go ahead and submit those to Sheila toward the end.
All right. Thanks, Denise.
Thank you.
Yes. So let's get right down to topics surrounding what you've done. You've done a lot of big things. There's a quote that I love that I think exemplifies you. And, you know, if I assign something to you, Sheila, you can say, yeah, good try. That's not really me. But, but, you know, when I write books, I try to put a quote at the beginning of each chapter that really embraces. And this quote that I'm about to read to you that I want us to talk about, I use it every time I speak. And it's from Henry David Thoreau in Walden. And he says, go confidently in the directions of your dreams. Live the life you've envisioned. And when I think about you and everything you do, and I titled this session, Live the Life You Envision, to do everything you've put together, you have a big vision. And let's share how you did that. I mean, I didn't tell people you're not only a surgeon, you're married to a neurosurgeon, you have 3 children, plus all the things I've already said. So tell us a little bit about how that works and how you live the life you envision.
So, you know, I think one of the things that has sort of gotten me here is a very high IQ. And I can say that and I can own it. And I don't care if people think it's bragging or whatever, but you kind of have to know your strengths and you have to know your weaknesses and when to ask for help and when to rely on your own decisions despite other people telling you stop or don't, or I don't know how that's going to come off. So I'm very, very highly functioning, and I always have been. And I tried to hide it in elementary school because boys didn't like that, or that at least that's what the pretty girls said. Yeah. And I'm smart. I know what women want. I know what my customer wants. I am my own customer, and I do things that haven't been tried before. And I know my goals pretty well. I don't think you have to have your goals perfectly identified. You just have to say, you know, broadly, this is the life I want. Broadly, these are the, you know, kinds of patients and clients I want to have. Broadly, you know, I want to be married to a peer or my equal or have mutual respect or things like that. I don't think it has to be very clearly defined, but I think you have to have your short-term goals defined and know a bigger picture. So just a little bit about myself that people think like, oh, you know, she was always like this. I wasn't. So I was always smart. I was super skinny growing up. My elbows and knees were the largest parts of my extremities. I was teased a lot. I did not feel beautiful. I basically felt more or less that people were friends with me to copy my homework. It wasn't that I was cool. It wasn't that I was funny. I was very follow the rules. I was that like good Iranian Persian girl that wanted to be patted on the head and told what a great job I was doing. So I wasn't someone that wanted to break rules. And I still am like super kosher, but I wasn't like a risk-taking person.
Yes.
We escaped from Iran when I was 7 on the back of a pickup truck because we're Jewish. And I was born in 1979 in the year of the revolution. So they wouldn't let us leave. So I came to this country at the age of 7, not speaking English. I always joked that I had a mustache and hairy legs and my mom wouldn't let me shave. So it was just like, I wasn't cool at all. I think I had like one friend, from each, like for elementary school, one friend, high school, one friend, college, one friend. And I wasn't insecure. Like I didn't like think like, oh, this and that, but I did have a deep need to be approved of. Yeah. I did have that. And I remember wanting to have blonde hair because when they put their hair back, it went straight and I had these like rhino horns and stuff. So, I always like had a wish to be better or a wish to be more accepted, but I wasn't, So my mom passed away when I was 16 years old. She had breast cancer, and that was a, defining thing. I was always pretty independent, and my parents never told me like, do this, do that. They just had expectations that were set, like get straight A's. It's just expected of you, I think we all had a little bit of that.
Well, I'm Asian, so my Chinese mother, I got that.
It's very the same, yeah. But like, there was no tutors, there was no helicoptering. It was just like a look. Like, this is what's expected.
Right.
Yeah. So my mom passing away at 16, I was very independent at that point. I had just gotten my driver's license. So, ever after that, I had this feeling that, life is really short and that I wanted to make her proud and I wanted to accomplish as much as I could because you never know how much time you have. I think that was, I was always driven, but I think that was a defining thing. That was very difficult. And, after that, I just always worked hard. As I became, more and more elevated in my education, I was no longer the smartest person. I always say I peaked with my SAT score. But, after that, you become, not the smartest person. And I had to work really hard to, remember data and medical school and learn things. Mm-hmm. But I was always the hardest working person. I was always, my recommendations were always fantastic. I had good EQ. My mentors saw that. They would make phone calls for me. Mm-hmm. And advice for people that, I always tell people after college, it's about who you know and who's willing to pick up the phone and make a phone call for you.
That is really an important point.
Yeah.
I happened to learn late, but it's so important. Sorry to interrupt you.
And people believed in me without me knowing it, really. Yeah. I found out later, like when I went to Albert Einstein for medical school, it wasn't the best medical school. I mean, I had a great time. It was great for, a Jew to be amongst Jews, and we had Shabbat dinners, It was lovely, but I was actually like ranked to match in plastic surgery at USC, but I didn't know that until 15 years later.
Oh.
They don't tell you that. So I was still very and I was engaged. So I got engaged to my husband. I met my husband 3 months before the rank list was due.
Were you in the same medical school? Were you in the same?
No, he's 10 years older. So he was already 2 years out as a neurosurgeon.
Oh,
and he'd been away for 11 years for medical school and residency. And he just graduated, made it back to LA. So he gave me an ultimatum 2 days before the rank list was due.
Oh my gosh.
Either you only rank plastic surgery USC and we get engaged tonight, or you rank and plastic surgery is like 80 spots in the country.
Right. It's very competitive.
You don't get a second chance. So I didn't end up ranking the other places that I'd interviewed, like UCSF, Stanford. I mean, like, and I suicide matched, plastic surgery USC because I got engaged 2 days before the rank list was due. But I got both. I got I called the 2013 the year of the match in life and in residency. So, I mean, there's been a series of very difficult and my mentors thought I was crazy. They're like, you just met this guy, you're ranking one place,
Yeah.
Thankfully, that was 15 years ago. So 3 kids ago.
Yes, that's right.
So it worked out. But, I did business school as well in between general surgery and plastic surgery. Mm-hmm. And I was an economics major actually at Columbia. So I always liked
The
economics.
numbers,
I didn't even know I liked business,
mm-hmm.
but I liked the study of economics. I don't know why. I never like necessarily put the two together, but when I had the opportunity to do the business school program for doctors, it was a beautiful experience. I was pregnant with my second. I had all 3 kids in residency. That's a whole other story.
Well, I was telling Denise as I was introducing her to you that, you know, we have a blended family of 6 children, but my husband contributed 5 of my children. My one biologic child I had when I was done, because I don't even know how you did it, Sheila. I mean, I think that is another.
I was so exhausted.
Oh,
and I was at USC. That's a county hospital. I mean,
right.
It was
there's trauma everywhere.
Trauma. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, and I was on call every 3rd night.
Yeah.
So one night I just went into contractions like at 7 months pregnant as a 3rd year, because you're chief of like
of the
appendectomies and stuff as a 3rd year.
Yeah.
And I just told the ER, I was like, no more, elective cases, because you had to operate overnight on like elective cases because there was no OR time during the day. And I just went to the column, drank water, and put my legs up so I wouldn't like deliver the child at 7 months.
Yeah.
Or I would, sleep in the hospital 4 hours post call before I drove home, and then call my husband to come get me out of the car because I couldn't stand, because I was so exhausted.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was difficult and I was definitely crazy, but I'm glad, I did it that way, because that, kind of, they're big enough now that, I can go full steam ahead with my practice, and they're pretty self-sufficient.
Yeah.
But it was crazy, and I didn't even think about that. I was just like, the timing's right, like we're not traveling anyway. Might as well have them now, and I just sort of banged it out.
It's just, you're not sleeping anyway, Sheila. I mean, the truth is, people always wonder when I describe what it was like. I was the last class without an 80-hour work week, which I know once there was an 80-hour work, everybody still was Q3. But I always say, I know that I can work for 40 hours straight without running my car into a pillar in the garage, because I've done it many times. Yeah. But that's my limit. None of my handwriting. So you're not sleeping anyway, Sheila. Have your children. Yeah. If you have the support, just do it. And
but I mean, at the same time, I think this quarantine has kind of taught me that I missed out on a lot.
Yes.
Like I missed out on the baby part of it.
Well, you're still young, Sheila. You could do it again. You're a young woman. You're young. I unfortunately cannot. You are young. So I'm putting the idea right now. Is your husband?
I know. No, I mean, every time I see a baby, I'm like, ooh, babies. But we got a dog. I feel like when you get a dog, that means you're done.
Well, no.
You're like, all my love is going to go to this baby now.
You know what it sounds like in the story, which I didn't know a lot of the backstory. It sounds like a key to living the life you envision is having a sense of yourself. Because I love how you said, I have a high IQ and I know it and I own it. Because I frequently say, I have been blessed with great hands. I can see with my eyes and make with my hands what I have to. And people are taken aback when I say it. And I don't, just like you, I don't say it because I'm bragging. It's a fact. Like,
it's a fact.
The day is light, the night is dark. I have good hands. And I love that you said that.
Thank God, the hands got me through so many residency pimping things I didn't know.
Right. I can do this surgery. But Sheila, I think a lot of people, women in particular, have been taught, oh, don't say what you're good at. That's bragging. Or don't self-promote, because God forbid we say we're good at something. Why is that? Why don't we as women get to own what we're good at?
We do. And you know what? I like to tell women that still feel like it's narcissistic or bragging. I tell people, how will people know that you can help them if you don't tell them what you're good at? Yes. And I think that makes it an easier pill to swallow, because then the woman feels like a helper. I'm telling people what I'm good at because I can help them. But for me, you guys, like 3 years ago, and I say this on a lot of podcasts and stuff, so sorry if you've heard it before, but it's like one of my favorite things. Why do you care about what other people think about you when they'd rather see you fail than succeed?
Truth.
And once that happened for me about 3 to 4 years ago, and that just released me. And I was like, you know what? I know what it's going to take to make me successful. I know what it's going to take to help me rise to the top and let people, and whatever that top means, you know?
Because
And we'll talk about what that means now as we've been able to like think about it a little bit more for the last 6 weeks in quarantine. But you know, you whatever the top means to you, whatever your goal means to you, don't let other people who aren't part of your Thanksgiving table, and I mean that in a very like, you know, metaphorical way. What do you need to have a Thanksgiving dinner? I need a turkey, maybe some mashed potatoes and some gravy. I don't care if I have the cranberry sauce. I don't care if so that core group of people that you actually care about what they think about you, those are the people that are going to check you, keep you humble, and make sure you're staying on track. Those are the people you should care about their opinions, and they want to see you succeed, and you know it truthfully and authentically. The other people who don't really, are maybe a little jealous or, you know, insecure or just like unhappy with themselves, what do you care what they think about you or say about you? Like I am known in the medical community. I just got off a Zoom. Like I don't hold back. I don't care if the president of the society is on the Zoom. I don't care who's on the Zoom. I will express my opinion, and I don't care what that person says about me behind my back, because they're talking behind my back anyway, and I don't care.
Yeah. Well, that takes a courage and a boldness. And I think now you have a daughter. How are you? 2 daughters.
2 daughters and a son. Yeah.
You know, I try to be the woman I want my daughter to be with my imperfections. You know, I was just arguing with her this morning about clothes. She's 12. I am not the perfect mother.
Oh, I have a 12-year-old too.
I am not a perfect mother, but I am conscious every day that she's learning how to be an adult, probably more by watching me than by what I ever say. So, I mean, how have you translated that to the women you mentor now? Women in the hospital see you working. Women like me watch you, you know, older and younger. I'm older than you. Younger women watch you. Other than living authentically, how do we help them connect with know yourself, be proud of yourself?
I mean, I just talk about it, and I'll tell you, like, again, you know, time is such a short thing. So I don't really mentor a lot of women with my time. I mentor them through my Instagram, and they feel that. They come up to me, I'll be at a bar mitzvah, I'll be at some, like, I'll be outdoors, and people will be like, I just want you to know I really look up to you, and you've really helped me. And some days when I'm really down, I go to your Instagram, you know, like,
yes,
I'm mentoring them that way. And also my kids' friends follow me. My kids' teachers follow me. So they're also very, but I feel like it's difficult because, you know, I have my own show coming out.
Oh, no, I didn't know.
But yeah, in July, I'll have my own show, and it's on in a very large streaming platform, but I can't say what until they announce it. So I think it becomes a little bit difficult for my eldest daughter because sometimes I feel like she feels like there's a little bit of competition in a weird way with me. And I tell her, I'm not telling you what to do because I want you to be like me, or because I want you to do the same things I'm doing. I'm telling you because I love you and I want you to be better than me. I want you to be able to fulfill your dreams, whatever those are. No pressure from me, nothing. I mean, I do want them to
doesn't have to be a surgeon. She doesn't have to be a
she wants to. She wants to be a plastic surgeon, enjoy my practice, whatever. We'll see. But I just feel like, you know, I tell her, you don't have to do that. You don't have to go to the same high school as me. You don't have to, you know, you have your own path. But I also know what you're capable of.
Yes.
And I know, and I want you to do your best.
That's right.
At whatever you decide to do. So there are certain expectations. Like I do expect her to get straight A's because she's fully capable of getting straight A's.
Exactly.
Especially in school these days.
Right. Not that, right.
That's another conversation.
That's the exact conversation I've had with my daughter. I know your capacity, therefore I will accept nothing less. It's not that the A means something to me, but if you're not getting it, I know that you're hanging out and you're not, because it's easy.
Too much TikTok. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Well, I want to pivot a minute and talk a little bit about your philosophy of plastic surgery, because I watch you enough to know that you're really authentic. You shoot your own face up. You're showing us how to do it. I'm not really kidding.
Do that today, actually.
People who are listening. But I was struck by, and this is just one example, and I was struck by once you were talking about you were showing on one of your channels, breast augmentation, and your philosophy of natural beauty and why less is more. And, you know, it occurred to me long before I had my daughter, you know, I thought I need to do something about these sad girls. And, you know, I looked through all kinds of pictures and I'm like, I can't be a rock star. I do not need all this out here because I can't shoot an arrow like an Amazon or whatever. You know?
Right. Yeah.
So I was really struck. So what is your philosophy and how does that less is more natural beauty influence?
Yeah. I'll tell you kind of where it came from. I was at a bar mitzvah or maybe it was a wedding, I don't know. And there was a dermatologist in town that, you know, was sitting at my table, and she was very shot up and very large cheeks and, you know, that look. And she got up and went to the bathroom, and all the women at the table were like, who the hell would go to her? What is she doing? You know? And that was a very strong message to me, that you kind of need to personify the look that is your aesthetic. And also you can't show people that you've lost your grip on what is normal looking. Because if you are not looking normal, that means you've lost your aesthetic eye, or you never had one to begin with.
Yeah.
So I knew, and also I knew the type of patient that I want in order to make me happy, because before coronavirus, I was spending more time at work than I spent at home. So my patients are kind of my friends, because I don't do the girls' lunches. I don't, you know, and I don't really like them. There, I said it.
It's okay.
So,
I've got you. Not that I
enjoy the female conversation and thoughtful people, but I just don't need to go to lunch with the girls every day. So I basically said, you know what? These are people I spend a lot of time with. I want educated, smart, normal women. I don't want psychos. I don't want people that want to look crazy. And so I just said, I'm not the doctor for everyone. I am the doctor for professional women who want to look fresh, but normal, and not have anyone know they did anything. And that's worked really well for me. I don't get psychos. I don't get weirdos wanting to sue me. You know, once in a while you do, but then you kind of hone your red flag judgment a little bit better, and you learn to say no better. You learn to screen people better. So people think they're interviewing me. I'm like, no, I'm interviewing you.
That's it.
So that's kind of where it started. But like going to like breast augmentation, for example, I just, you know, I do Skypes right now. I do like about 7 Skypes per day, Wednesdays and Thursdays right now. And I always tell women with breast size, that's the smallest you can be. So think about church, think about PTA meetings, think about bathing suits, think about sports bras at the gym. You can't make yourself look smaller than the breast size you choose. Don't think how big do I want to be. Think how small do I want to be? Because you can always make yourself look better with the bra.
Got it.
So that's where I want people to, you know, to sort of think about, you can't go small, you can't shift down once you've chosen a breast size.
Because it's an implant. It doesn't.
It's an implant. So that's the smallest you can look. So that's, you know, I call myself the SBQ, #SBQ or #small breast queen, because I feel like we've lost our bearings a little bit with breasts and butts and lips and cheeks and all of that stuff. And I'm here, and like, I can't tell you how many women would walk into my office knowing something was wrong, but thinking they needed more filler. And I just like reverse the filler in their entire face to see what they look like and start, you know. Yeah. And then they'll come back and be like, oh, my friends are like, oh my God, you look normal again. And they'd be like, well, why didn't you tell me? And their friends are like, oh, I didn't think it was my place. Well, it's my place. So you know, women come in and I've had one woman actually say she was like extremely offended by what I told her would make her look better. But I'm like, then why are you here? Like, you paid to be here. It's a safe space. Nobody's got a camera on you. Like, I'm going to tell you, I'll be that, you know, kind of, I don't know, non-biased eye to tell you what will make you look better, but also what you've done that's made you look worse and how we're going to fix it.
Well, and I use that same logic and reasoning, even in orthopedics. People come to me and they'll come and I'll tell them what I think they should do. And they may or may not have done it by the time they come back. And I will say to them, basically what you said, listen, I don't hold back. I'm going to give you my best advice. I'm not going to meter it out. I'm going to say, this is the best I think for you. And so it sounds like you're doing the same thing.
Well,
And
sometimes I do meter it though, because you have to understand the patient's psychology. So if they come in and they've never done anything before and they think Botox is going to paralyze them and Guillain-Barré and stick them in the ICU, then I will only talk like, let's talk about skincare and maybe a little bit of injectables, even though I think maybe down the road they might need more invasive things done.
I understand.
So there's a lot of psychology in what I do, and I think that's where the philosophy, and it's so funny you said that, because I actually, when I went to Columbia, I started off as a philosophy major.
Oh.
I knew I wanted to become a doctor. But the first day of philosophy, and I'm a good writer when it comes to captions, but I'm not a good like writer for like 3 to 5 page essays and papers and stuff. So the first day he said, I don't give out any A's. I was like, well, I want to go to medical school, so this ain't gonna work out. So I switched to economics, which,
it's all numbers. You either do the work or you don't do it.
Yeah, but I am, I do like, I do like that stuff. I do like, I think like a philosopher, but I never really like felt. I didn't allow myself to feel very much, especially throughout residency, because you have to have a certain amount of denial in order to get through residency. Oh, my kids don't really miss me right now. Before the age of 5, they won't remember anything anyway.
I told myself that.
Yeah. So I think I had to have a certain bit of denial just to survive, or my marriage would be fine. Or like, he understands, he's a brain surgeon. He's been through it. Even though every 3 months he's like, this is crazy. Quit your job. You don't need to work. Go get your hair done. Go buy some clothes. Do something else, and I was like, no, I'm going to do this,
That's right. And you got through it, obviously.
Yeah. Poor husband. But I mean, he's been great. And the more successful.
He's a neurosurgeon. It's a partnership.
I know, but not all neurosurgeons are like that. Most neurosurgeons will marry a wife that will have dinner ready and maybe a foot bath when they get home.
Right.
My husband, I mean, one of the sweetest, he's so secure, as secure as a man can be, I swear. But, one of the nicest thing he's ever said to me was, your success is my success.
Oh,
I mean, how amazing is that?
That is amazing.
Yeah.
You chose well in 3 days or however short period of time.
3 months. But I'll tell you, he said he knew within 20 minutes and I knew after a week.
Wow. That's a great story.
I mean, I met his parents at 1 week and he met my dad at 2 weeks.
Wow. That is really wonderful.
And I didn't believe that. How long did it take for you to get married?
Well, my husband and I, we're supposed to be set up a year before we actually had an introduction.
I was supposed to be set up 3 months before.
Yeah. So, and I was older when I met him and I was no longer taking any shit, Sheila. I mean, no longer, right? So, I asked him on our first date, what do you want from life? I mean, that is really not a question you get to.
I did the same thing, girl. I did the same thing.
What do you want? And what do you want from this? And the funny thing is, he'd been married before, and he said, I am never getting married again. Well, hello. And
when I got introduced to my husband, I was here on a neurology rotation. I was so bored. I kept walking down the hall to neurosurgery, begging him to take me into the operating room. That guy set me up with my husband. I had 3 more weeks in town before I had to go back to New York. Yeah. And he said, you'll have a good time with this guy, but he never wants to get married.
Oh, and he knew right away, 20 minutes. See, I love that story. I love it. I could talk to you forever, but I'm going to pull Denise back in here. We're going to do she calls it a blazing round of questions. What do you call it, Denise? I'm going to pull you back in.
Oh my God. I'm so bad at this. Okay,
no,
go.
You're not. You're not.
I really am, because I don't think about a lot of the questions like, I don't know.
I just want it off the top of your head. I mean, that's the best part, right?
I'll be like, I don't know, pass.
You'll do fine. I promise you'll do fine. So yeah, it's the speed round. We're going to go through the speed round. Okay. All right. So what is you write a lot of inspirational quotes, as I saw from your Instagram. What is your favorite inspirational quote?
See, this quote thing, I think my most inspirational quote is that thing that I already said, is that, don't care about what people who want to see you fail think about you.
Yeah, I like your idea of like, what do you want at your Thanksgiving table, or who and all at the Thanksgiving table. That one was good. What is your favorite tool or tip for managing your time, which you clearly do well?
This is really funny. There was a girl in my high school at Harvard Westlake who was on every committee, like editor of the newspaper, on the dance team, like everything. And I said, and my high school was harder than Columbia. I mean, it's very competitive. And she said, whatever I'm doing, I'm 100% in it until I move on to the next thing. So that's one thing that I took away from her. The other thing is, again, I'm very highly functioning and incredibly organized and efficient with my time. And one example I like to give, and I run my whole life this way, you might think it's psycho, but it's just how I work naturally. If I'm driving into work or if I'm going into Ralph's, as I'm approaching it, I hit the window. So the window is down right at the second where I reach the validation thing and pull it out. So I barely even have to pause my car. Imagine that in my whole life.
Yeah.
So when I say highly functioning, I really mean it. Like I can fit probably 4 days or 5 days into one day of getting work.
Okay, excellent. All right.
Love a psycho like me. Okay, go.
No, I love it. I love it.
All right, what is your favorite app?
Well, Instagram. That's number one. Yeah. But honestly, like I have apps, like I run my husband thinks I'm like crazy. Sometimes he calls me Sheila.com because I'm like attached to this thing, but I run everything on my phone. I think for those of you trying to get started on Instagram, Video Show is a good app to edit your own videos. I really like that one. I think that's a good and useful one for people to know. My Starbucks app, although I have 2 Nespressos at my house that I never used. And the reason why I have them is because, I do a lot of injectables, and the Restylane company was owned by Nespresso. Mm-hmm. It's the same company, and they had this giveaway where if you bought a certain amount of syringes, they would give you like 48 Nespressos to give to your patients. So I have like so many Nespressos. So I have one upstairs, one downstairs, and I run on coffee. I don't know how
efficient, Sheila.
I know it's part of the efficiency theme that you got going on. Exactly. Yeah. All right. What is the most common health tip or beauty tip or tip that you would give to your patients and maybe even your family and your friends as well?
Well, I think I've been doing a lot of that on my Instagram. So if you guys want beauty tips or at-home regimens, definitely start checking that out. But I think one thing that I think people need to know is it takes consistency to look good. And unfortunately, it's not cheap. So you have to have, I always tell this to people, like, I'm bad, but don't buy more belts and shoes. Don't buy more clothes. You have enough. Invest in your health and in your face and in your skin, because you wear that every day. Yeah. So imagine how many shoes you buy, you wear twice, how many belts you buy, maybe you wear, okay, fine, 20 times, whatever, I don't care. You don't need more of those. Take that money, because it does good skincare, and good doctors and good skincare treatments and good lasers cost a lot of money. Period. Stop wasting your time. $19.99 here at Costco, $5.99 there at Rite Aid. Stop. That's why I created the website, theskinspot.com. We do have a 20% off code that's on my Instagram right now, and to help people, get started. I am giving free skincare consults. They can just email. Yeah. So I
have to tell people, Dr. Nazarian answered a direct message of mine. I said, which of these maybe it was a laser question or something. And she answered. So if you need questions, she actually is there.
Yeah, I do. That's my other full-time job. But my lead esthetician in my office is actually doing free skincare consults. So, and there is a lot you can do at home. And what I like, literally my skin has never looked this good before, because I actually bought a laminator off of Amazon, and I laminated like a list. So while I'm brushing my teeth, I do 20 squats. Oh, I actually made a list of like my morning regimen and my night regimen, and it's been really nice to laminate, stick it to my mirror in my bathroom and stick to it. Yeah. So I know what it takes to do it. I feel like a lot of times, Wanda, we let ourselves go almost, because we're taking care of other people, whether it's the kids or the patients or our husbands or the house, whatever. So this has been a time where I can really get back. And that's a really good tip. Laminate your regimen and stick it to your window. The laminator at Amazon is like $20, and get expert advice. One thing I think coronavirus has done great for doctors is people really are craving expert advice right now. Yeah. And, influencers who are getting paid to post about something. Like, there's a huge backlash against that right now. So the skinspot.com, which I created, is actually curated by me. Like, nothing gets on that site unless it's a bestseller for that company. And I've tried it, my staff's tried it, and none of us broke out, and we really liked it. So we only bring on the hero products from each SKU. That's the number one benefit. Number two benefit is I can bring on medical grade that the other stores cannot, because those companies don't allow non-doctors to sell their product.
Oh, right.
So
really
that's
good.
great. And then, you know, when you go on some of these stores, there's like 2,000 sunscreens. How the hell do you know which one's going to be good for you? You don't. It's very confusing. So we've tried to make it understandable, affordable, and curated so that you know you're getting the best stuff.
That is so helpful, because I got to tell you, I've been saying this is not a chemistry experiment. This 53-year-old skin is not a place to be doing some chemistry. We need the truth. So the skin spot.
And also the other thing too is I felt kind of weird about like promoting it right now during this time, but I was watching a PR pro talk about a presentation. And this goes out to all the women out there. If you're selling something, whether it's orthopedic surgery, whether it's plastic surgery, whether it's skincare products, if it's helping people, sell away. When you sell something that helps people, that's a blessing. And if that money right now is helping support your staff so that they're sheltered and fed,
yes, so
even better.
Yes.
So find something that meets a need, helps people, do it ethically and honestly. And that's a blessing, and that's okay.
Yeah, that's a good message. I love that. I could talk to you forever. Do you have more questions,
easily, right?
Oh. Well, I don't want to keep Sheila too long, but
yes. Okay. 2 more questions. Can we do 2 more? All right. How do you fuel the creative side of you?
I'm like super creative. One story I like to tell is when I was little, I used to make stuff out of duct tape and paper bags, and my mom used to call me متخصص کارهای بیخودی, which means the expert in useless things. But I think all of that, like building and measuring and creating, it's like, Wanda, best hands ever. I swear. Thank God for these. Thank you, God.
That's right.
But, you know, all of that little training helped me become a plastic surgeon. And I almost went into orthopedics, girl. I was very close. Yeah. But I needed a little bit more artsy, less cookie cutter. But I did.
You know what, Sheila? I decided not to go into plastic surgery at the time. Because when I was matching, you had to do a full general surgery residency and then plastics. And I could not have done that.
I know. I love it. I know. I had to do a full 3 years. I matched straight into plastics, but that first 3 years, I mean, I think it was really good because I learned how to take care of sick people.
Oh, of course. It's very good.
And I learned how to speak the language of all the other specialties because, you know, plastics works with every specialty.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely.
So that's why I'm not a plastics because.
Yeah, I hear that. I'm very blessed that I only had to do 3 years of it. But yeah. So yeah.
Okay. All right. So you mentioned that you came over to the United States, 7 years old from Iran. Yeah. What would you tell that younger self of yours?
That's a great question. And I was always fiercely independent. And even when my mom tried to help me with my homework, I would cry and I would say like, you don't believe I could do it. Like, psycho. But I think one of the things, and you know what, even when she passed away, I never really, I kind of was a strong person in the family and I tried to make sure everybody else was okay at the age of 16. I think what I would always say now, and I actually like had, you know, when I was in my chief year of residency, I saw a therapist for 3 months at 9 p.m. on Wednesday nights because I knew I had to deal with that loss. And I didn't deal with it until the age of like, 26.
Wow.
I just knew that I had to, no, I think I was 28. I had to deal with it because it was affecting me as a mother. I was almost jealous of my own kids that they had a mother and I didn't, in a weird way.
Yeah.
And the other thing I had to address was I was such a douchebag that like all of my ego and all of my confidence was based in the fact that I was becoming a plastic surgeon. So in every conversation of meeting somebody new, I would always I wouldn't even like, I was unconscious, but I would just say it because I think so much of my self-esteem was weighted in that. And I needed to get out of that. I needed to come back to my core values. And this therapist really, I mean, he dealt with only A-type personality, psycho CEOs. So we really quickly got to the bottom of it. And one thing I want to say to this, because I know a lot of other, especially surgical specialty women are in this. There was a plastic surgeon, an older woman. I think she was like 60s, somewhere around there. And she got in a car accident. She couldn't operate anymore. She killed herself. And this was an LA plastic surgeon. And I totally related to that. I did.
Who am I if I'm not a surgeon?
Who am I if I'm not a surgeon?
I'm not a surgeon.
Right.
Who am I if I'm not a doctor? Who am I? Because it's very, it's a large part of our life.
It is.
And this, I want to say this, maybe this can be like our closing thing, but you need to, you are defined by your core values, whatever that is, whether it's, part of your religious beliefs or your morals or whatever. That's who you are. And you have sub-personalities under that. You have the surgeon, the mother, the friend, the cousin, the whatever, the employer, the employee. All those sub-personalities need to be kind of leveled. You can't have the sub-personality surgeon that's so into succeeding and becoming a chairman and all that stuff that it's, pushing at your mother person, because I had that. Like, I would look at my children and sometimes resent them and be like, you're standing in the way of me becoming chairman because I can't publish as much because I have to spend time with you.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. So I think as medical professionals, as driven women, we have to sort of say, if I don't operate a day in my life ever again, which is happening right now, I still am valuable. I still have a way to contribute to society, help other people, and stay confident, and feel like I still have worth.
That's right.
So if I leave that as like an ending message for everyone, I think it's really important for especially medical fields, because I feel like a lot of women go into medicine to prove somebody else wrong. Whereas if you talk to men, they're like, oh, I was just fascinated by the human body, Whereas women are like, somebody told me I couldn't do it and I had to prove them wrong. So, that's fine, but it only takes you to a certain point. And Vonda and I were talking about this beforehand, is you have to get to the point where you have to understand that you're not doing this for anyone else anymore and you have nothing else to prove. Yes. You are successful, you are smart, you are worth it. You are brave, you are courageous just by what you've achieved to this point, and that's enough.
It is. You know what? You really are a philosopher and so wise. And so I am going to continue to watch what you're doing and listen. And I'm so thankful you came on with us today. Thank you so much, Dr.
Thank you,
Sheila
Vonda.
Nazarian. Bye. Have a fabulous weekend.
You too.
Thank
Bye.
you.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Bye-bye.
My pleasure. Bye.